На трибунах аллеют знамена, облака в поднебесье плывут. На зеленом ковре стадиона разноцветные майки цветут.
Hello and welcome back to a special episode of the RFN Podcast. In our second European preview special, I'm your host, James Nichols, as always, and this week I'm also joined by Rob and Kirill of Chelsea fan site SW6Daily to discuss Krasnodar versus Chelsea on Wednesday night. Good evening, Rob.
Good evening, James.
And Kirill, good evening.
Good evening, James.
Yeah, thanks guys for joining me, and I'm glad to have gotten here because we've been really excited for the last sort of couple of weeks or so, waiting for Krasnodar to finally get the first taste of European football. That Sergei Galitsky, the Krasnodar owner's long-term dream, and it's great to have Chelsea here because Chelsea, of course, is a well-known club to those in the Russian football world. They've played in Russia. The last played in Russia in the 2012-2013 Europa League, of which the Blues, of course, defeated Rubin Kazan on aggregate, but did actually lose that second leg in Kazan, surprisingly. And against Russian opposition in general, they've played 6 games, and losing that one aforementioned match and winning every other meeting, including games against Spartak, CSKA, and in the UCL group stages. Of course, Chelsea in Russia are probably most famously connected, however, through the owner Roman Abramovich and a certain Champions League final at the Luzhniki in 2008, but I think the less said on that one, the better. To go to yourself first, Rob, in game week 1, Chelsea drew at home to last season's Europa League champion Sevilla 0-0. So how was this result received in West London, and how did the Blues play in general?
I think depending on who you spoke to, it was a mix of some people saw it as a point gained, some people definitely saw it as 2 points dropped. Overall, Frank Lampard's side were, I'd say, very compact. They clearly had a game plan to try and stifle Sevilla, who wanted to play in the transition and play on the counter-attack a lot. They particularly tried to stop them being able to exploit the wings and getting the wing-backs in behind. Acuna and Jesus Navas are big attacking threats for Sevilla. In terms of from an offensive perspective, there wasn't a lot on the night. Timo Werner looked Chelsea's most likely option. However, he was having sort of one of those nights where everything he did was going wrong. Kai Havertz was struggling really to sort of knit up play. When Christian Pulisic did get the ball on the left wing, he was looking really promising. But unfortunately, he and Mason Mount both seemed to be dovetailing quite a lot, and that wasn't really benefiting either of them. They were swapping over. In terms of overall performance, it wasn't great, but I would say it was solid, if not spectacular. Always good to start off with a point in the Champions League. Important not to lose your home games, and you would take a point against the current Europa League holders, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And Sevilla were one of those teams where they were the ones where everybody would think and say, well, at least it's not the big teams, the elite teams, and no disrespect to Sevilla whatsoever. But they are kind of the masters of knockout football, the masters of European football over the last few years. And I winced when Krasnodar drew them, but from Chelsea's point of view, it's a good start. And they do now, of course, have Frank Lampard in charge. So Kirill, just coming to yourself here. He's obviously, Frank is a club legend, and presumably the fans are willing to give him a lot of time to sort everything out after a couple of difficult years. So Kirill, my question to you is just how's Frank Lampard fared since taking over as Chelsea boss?
So, yes, I think that right now, all the Chelsea fans, they split it into 2 camps, like after the Sevilla game, as Rob said. Some already want Frank to be out, and some say, okay, come on, just give him some time. I am in the second camp. I really believe that we still need to find some stability, some balance. Yeah, you see that in one match, Chelsea can score a lot of goals, and on the other hand, concede a lot of goals, like it was with Southampton and West Bromwich. But if we're talking about Sevilla, if we're talking about Manchester United, there we are not conceding goals, but not scoring also. So the balance is still not found. It's really hard to see where it can be, but it's Frank Lampard's job, and I'm pretty sure that he is suitable for that. Also, we should not forget that this season is very, very tough. it's very challenging for not only for Frank Lampard, it's challenging for every manager right now in all over the world, because one season just ended, the other one just started. They had just 1 month. It's nothing. Most of the clubs didn't even had a preseason. Chelsea played only one game with Brighton. It was the only friendly game, and also the schedule. The schedule is very, very tough right now. So all the clubs are playing 3 matches per week, maybe 2 matches per week, and there is no time for rest. Also, still national teams are playing, and nobody really understands why. But okay, it's another discussion. But I think that Lampard is doing well. I can see what he wants from his team. What is the formation? What is the tactics? What he wants to bring extra for his club. The main thing we need right now is time. Some fans are just very impatient, and that's sad. But we should handle it, and also Lampard should handle it. But he has my all trust, so I will wait until this season at least. So that's my point.
I think it's also worth probably noting that at the end of the day, whether people like it or not, Frank Lampard is in a unique position as a Chelsea manager in recent years, because ultimately he is arguably the club's greatest ever player. He is the club's record goal scorer. He has an incredible affinity as sort of a manager. He has sort of an incredible sort of reference point as the manager. And every single signing that has been made so far has come out and said that one of their big, one of the big USPs of it and one of the big selling points has been Frank Lampard. So I can't see the club wanting to make any changes in the short term, purely just because so many of these players are expecting, to play under Lampard and be, part of a Lampard team. It is clearly a work in progress, and I don't think anyone would deny that. But if they can get the balance right, as we've seen against Crystal Palace, and I think we also started to see at times in other matches this season, if they can get the balance right between attacking and defending, there are some incredible defenders at the club this year in sort of the development of Reece James, obviously the signing of Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma finding solidity. And if they can balance that with the attacking potency and quality of all of the new stars and signings, then there really is something quite special potentially sort of developing there. And I think that's sort of something important to note if sort of that makes sense. I obviously sounds like a bit of a cop-out almost to say that it's a work in progress, having spent so much, which I know is going to be discussed a bit later. But realistically, it has to be viewed in that sort of way and understood in that manner.
Yeah, it's been quite a breath of fresh air, really, to see Chelsea give Lampard the chance, give it to a club legend, give it to a young English manager. But what does Lampard implement upon the side in terms of a style of play? Is that up to him, or is that maybe a little bit above his head and coming from the top down? Rob?
I mean, I'd never personally say specifically I think it comes from the very, very top. I think you have to say that Mr. Abramovich does have a style of football that he likes, and it is well documented what that is. I think Lampard has generally tried to stick to that, to be honest. He favours attacking football because, as people will tell you, they don't think he can set up defensively. The past couple of games obviously proved that wrong, but he certainly does prefer an attacking system. Usually you're looking at something akin to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 in most matches. Obviously, it will be 10 players and then Mason Mount, because as we know, he has to start every single match if you listen to Chelsea Twitter fans. Realistically, you're looking usually at a lineup that relies quite heavily on the wing-backs getting forward and providing width, and the wide midfielders sort of also working as inverted wingers, or alternatively cutting inside and working in that sort of number 10 role. At times, the strikers can be a little isolated, which has been okay when you have someone like Giroud up top who's a bit more of a target. But as we've seen with Werner and Abraham at times, they both have looked a little bit isolated and a bit lost. I'd say the real big thing for Chelsea is getting the balance right with the style. Obviously, you have N'Golo Conte, Mateo Kovacic, and Jorginho, who are all three very different midfielders. And I think we're still searching for the perfect balance between all of them. You also got young Billy Gilmore, who's injured at the minute. Sadly, he won't be playing, but he's a terrific talent in there. And you've got people like Tino Anjoran as well. In terms of a pure playing style, it's probably a pass and move possession. He likes to attack. He likes to dominate the ball. But in recent games, we have seen a bit more of a pragmatic side for him of setting up not to lose. I don't think you'll see that on Wednesday. I think the handbrake will be off.
Yeah, I certainly do not expect Chelsea to go to Krasnodar and play with the handbrake on, as you mentioned. And it's that parallel between Lampard and Musaev, in my opinion, is quite an interesting one. Of course, Lampard's the second youngest manager in the English Premier League, and he's like Musaev, who isn't really a club legend. Musaev, in any means, he didn't play for Krasnodar like Lampard has and had the career like Lampard has, but he's worked his entire time at what was Krasnodar's precursor club, Krasnodar 2000, and then Krasnodar themselves in the academy, the reserves boss, caretaker manager, and then became the full head coach in 2018. He's only 36, and he has this style of play, which is not his own. It's implemented from the top down. It's Sergei Galitsky's dream of having the academy players starting week in, week out, a team built from the brilliant academy facilities, which is some of the best in Europe, and then playing possession football on the front foot, 4-3-3 with the number 6, and then playing it short passing, dominating the ball. So that's how he wants his team to play. But obviously, when it comes to the Champions League, it's the opposite of that. You will see it's much more defensive. It's much more disciplined, and because of the gulf in class between, say, Krasnodar and Chelsea, and even Rennes the other day, it was quite evident just how strong these teams from the European top 5 leagues are, and exactly as you would expect. Another disadvantage, or maybe advantage, that the Premier League clubs have is the financial clout. And of course, Chelsea's spending spree in the summer was largely allowed by changing financial fair play regulations and so on, in order to help clubs deal with the COVID-19 outbreak. But what do you think of these new signings, Kirill, and how have they started life at Stamford Bridge?
So, as far as you know, we have quite a lot of newbies, and they were pretty good, as for me. None of them, but let's go through the list. So Hakim Ziyech was the first one, and we didn't really see him in the Premier League, unfortunately, due to his injury that he had in his friendly against Brighton. We all thought that it was not so serious, but unfortunately he missed all September, and he is only now he is going and gaining this match fitness. We didn't see too much of his magic right now. He is getting just some game experience in the Premier League, but yesterday Frank Lampard said that he thinks that Hakim Ziyech is ready to shine. He's ready for a start in 11. So I think it was a message that Hakim is very, very... there is a very good possibility that we will see him against Krasnodar. I hope it's the best. Right now, it's the best option for him to start and to see how he implements the team, how can he give his best to this team right now. So I'm pretty sure that he will start against Krasnodar. The second signing was Timo Werner, and to be honest, it's one of the transfers I am the most happy about because he already shown his great character on the interviews. He was very, very excited about playing in the Premier League. He was very confident that he can bring something to this Chelsea squad, and of course he can. And of course he already brought a lot. He didn't score so much goals. He was brilliant against Southampton, and he scored twice, but he didn't previously, except the friendly Brighton game. But in all of these games, he was tremendous, really. He helped a lot in the attack. He also was not afraid. He was not lazy to come back. He supported our defense, and he really tackled well. I don't remember the striker who really did that. Even Drogba was not so defensively active, let's say. I'm not talking about Morata or Diego Costa, who were always somewhere in front. And Werner is coming back and trying to help his teammates, and that's what I really liked about him in these games. Also, he's creating a lot of activity in the attack, and he is really one of the players who just came and started to show the difference. The second one is Ben Chilwell, the one I was a little bit not confident about, because we also had some nice left back options. For example, Taliafico or Lucadin also was in the rumors, and other guys, Alex Telles also, who joined Manchester United, they were all in the list probably, and they were cheaper options, but Chilwell came, and most of the time we thought, okay, they paid for the Englishman, that is why he was so highly he was so high in the sum we gave to Leicester, but he really did the difference, and I don't remember such a solid left back since Ashley Cole in Chelsea. Marcus Alonso was very nice in scoring goals from set pieces. Emerson was brilliant last August, but then he got injury and they were not stable anymore. Also, Alonso is not the man who is very good in defense, let's say. Also, Emerson sometimes fails in that. But Ben Chilwell is very good in all parts of the pitch, and I am very happy to see him right now, and hopefully he won't get any injuries, let's say, because we bought him with an injury. Then it was Havertz, and most of the fans, they don't see any difference, and they said that he's very passive. They don't like how he plays, that sometimes he can move faster or something like that. But if you watch closely for Havertz, you can understand what genius he is, how many difference he makes. He opens in this open areas on open space, and he's doing the difference really. So it was very well seen in the Carabao Cup when he scored a hat-trick against a very, very weak team, but okay. He really does it against any team, but sometimes you can see it also. Sometimes he needs to play on the right wing. There he is not so active and not making so much difference. But when he's playing number 10, yeah, that's the guy we need. And I did really like him. And as for Mendy, you already saw the difference. Two last games, and he got 2 men of the match against Sevilla, against Manchester United, and he was very, very good, and he really gave the goalkeeper position the difference we needed to. So, for example, there was a very big problem for Kepa to catch all the crosses, all the set pieces we had, the corners, the falls we conceded. It was very, very tense, and we were thinking, okay, let's just not concede after that. because Kepa was not going out of the post, and he was not trying to catch. But Mendy and his height, his ability to jump, it made the difference already. Also, he is very nice in keeping saves. He had very nice saves, especially against Manchester United. The last minutes, Rashford shoots. I'm pretty sure that Kepa would consider that because there were so many matches when Chelsea conceded in last minutes some incredible goals that were going like, you think, okay, the goalkeeper is not it's not the fault of the goalkeeper. There was no chance for him to save that, and it was exactly the same shot Rashford did, and Mendy did save that, and that was the difference. And I think all of the more or less all of the transfers we made, they already gave some difference. We right now need to see how they will work together with the other team, how they will implement the chemistry to this team, and for that we need time. That's what I see.
Yeah, certainly. The time is the crucial factor, but
Yeah.
just hearing that list of names and that sort of rogues gallery of continental stars from different leagues and all making different impacts, it's just quite funny when you compare that to Krasnodar's summer business, which was 5 players signed domestically, 3 of which are all called Yevgeny, 2 of which are former Krasnodar players themselves, and another 2 who can't even play in the Europa League anyway because they were signed after the registration deadline. Champions League, my apologies, not Europa League. After the registration deadline, and they are basically they're the Krasnodar 2 team without mentioning Krasnodar 2, the actual Finna L team. They'll play on weekends when the first team plays midweek. But Rob, who would you think that Chelsea's main danger men are for the tie, especially with Krasnodar potentially without a majority of their first team?
I mean, I'd say it probably depends on how much Chelsea choose to rotate themselves. I don't personally expect a lot of rotation. I think Frank Lampard may look to freshen up in the forward areas with the plethora of attacking content that they have at their disposal. Certainly, I think he hinted at it that Hakim Ziyech is getting closer to being able to start, and obviously the Moroccan playmaker has everything in his locker. He's a terrific passer. He can shoot. He has a real good delivery on him from dead ball situations. Takes a really good free kick. Has an incredible assist record to his name, and I think you may well see him getting the nod over perhaps some other options on the right hand side. I'd also expect maybe that they may change up front. And I think they may go with Olivier Giroud. Giroud obviously has the real nous for this level. Hugely experienced centre forward. One of the most underrated players, I think, in the world. He, brings other players into the game with his hold-up play, but he also is so good in the air. If Krasnodar are going to be rotating, potentially, using lesser players, I think Giroud will look at them and will look to try and bully them with his height, with his aerial strength. The other thing is he's so good at, occupying those centre-backs to give space to the likes of your midfielders. And if you have someone like Kai Havertz in behind or even Mason Mount sort of in behind, they can really occupy and dominate the midfield. As a bit of a wild card selection, and again, sort of hinted at earlier, Ben Chilwell so far has not put a foot wrong, in my opinion, in his Chelsea career. And increasingly, clubs are finding it difficult on that left-hand side to deal with the fact Chilwell likes getting forward. And then also that means that he can work in tandem with whoever's on the left wing. Recently it's been Pulisic, but also Mason Mount, and Timo Werner's also been out there before a couple of times. And he has such a good delivery on him, but also an excellent footballing brain, Chilwell, and he's not afraid to shoot himself. So he certainly wouldn't be, a total outside bet for really causing havoc to the Russians.
Yeah, and causing havoc, I think, is exactly the way that my pessimism right now is leaning, to be quite honest. Now, you mentioned that Krasnodar may be resting players, and it's not so much as resting, it's just we don't really have any choice whatsoever with Yonov unavailable due to not being registered, Markov and Kabea with the inconclusive COVID tests they were, and then subsequent isolation. And then, of course, the front three of Klaassen, Wanderson, Berg all missing. At the weekend, there was none of the front three are first team regulars. Only Vilhena in midfield was really Krasnodar's first choice there. And then Alexander Martinovic, who will probably line up in centre back, who's sent off at the weekend. He's the 35-year-old Belarusian who could really. He's the only man that keeps the defence together at times. When Kayo and Diego Sorokin start, it's a little bit error prone at this level sometimes. And if Giroud does start, like you mentioned, Rob, then Martinovic would have a very big role in that. Rob, do you want to come back in there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my other sort of big thing that I would sort of stress is I think Chelsea are, again, this is not playing on the pessimism, but there is a feeling amongst Chelsea fans that if they can get a game, and you started to see it a little bit against Crystal Palace and you saw it a bit against Southampton before they sort of, individual errors allowed the South Coast side back into the game, there does feel a bit that Chelsea are due to give someone a good, a good walloping and to go ahead and show what the attacking talent really can do. They scored 6 against Barnsley in the Carabao Cup a few weeks ago, and that could honestly, have been 10. There were so many good chances. They should have had a blatant penalty as well. And it does sort of get the feeling that Wednesday may be as good a day as any to sort of, do that and really put a marker down in the competition, which is something I think Lampard will be keen to do, because I don't think so far in the Champions League, the results have all been very solid and credible. Probably the most sort of, impressive ones being the 1-0 away win in Amsterdam last year when Chelsea were very much sort of, seen as the underdogs. And also the 4-4 draw against Ajax, although that obviously had mitigating factors of the 2 red cards, but was still an impressive result nonetheless. But it still feels that Lampard's waiting for that real hallmark sort of standout victory at the European level to really say, Chelsea have arrived again and are back to compete. And whilst Krasnodar obviously might not be the toughest of opposition, we've already seen last week, with results like Shakhtar Donetsk against Real Madrid, that at this level you can't take any game for granted. And every single team is here on merit. So although that might come on Wednesday and Chelsea might get that, result, I think they could be in for a difficult game, personally.
So if it was Krasnodar's first team, I would certainly agree. But with the extent of the selection issues that Krasnodar face, I can't help but agree to differ and continue to be so pessimistic. Kirill, just coming to yourself quickly now, do you think any of Krasnodar's current lineup, obviously those missing permitting, could cause Chelsea any problems? Is there anybody you fear from a Chelsea perspective?
Yeah, as a Russian guy, I also check the Krasnodar, how they are going, and of course, I think in Russia, Krasnodar is one of the clubs that is mostly beloved, mostly because of the person of Sergei Galitsky. And we're also trying to check. And as far as I know, against Spartak Moscow, the last match they had, they were not able to introduce something like 10 players from the starting 11. So it was very, very tough for them. And also it's a complex of problems, COVID, injuries. Some of them also had, as far as I know, tonsillitis. So every plague that was able to run down into Krasnodar, it did ran to them. So I still don't know whether Kabela is able to play. Musaev tomorrow will tell us, but due to UFA protocols, he is not able. But for example, for Ronaldo, they found a solution, and maybe he could. Maybe for Remy, they will also find out. I still remember this guy from Saint Etienne because I do like Ligue 1. I am a big supporter of Lyon also, and Kabela always had made some problems for Lyon. He was very good, and now he's a very, very big star for Krasnodar. Unfortunately, he had a big injury last year. They bought him, I think, in 2019, and he was out mostly for the year, but now he made a really difference, and if he starts somehow, he is the biggest threat, 100%. But as for others, I did like Ramirez in the game against Rennes. He was pretty solid. He was like a fullback that was transforming in the midfield, and he really covered both of the positions, and he was one of the best players, except one guy who was on the goal that night, Safonov. He is now in Russia. He is almost like an ultimate star because he made a couple of great saves, and really everybody right now in Russia who loves football, they know Safonov because of this game against Rennes. And to be honest, he was really very solid that night, and he can make the difference. As Rob said, I also expect a big transformation of the squad, of the starting 11. I see that many of the guys who were in the starting 11 previously, they will get some rest. Giroud is a very good point. I even didn't think of that, but I'm pretty sure that Olivier, he can really start. And he can cause some problems, but if Safonov will perform like he was performing against Rennes, Chelsea will need some extra good moments to win this game.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that a little bit of hope from Krasnodar's point of view, if the majority of that is through, to be honest, the star performances of Matvei Safonov so far. But what I've been really quietly impressed with the Krasnodar and this little run they've had already in the Champions League is what they've learned from years prior. Of course, last year they went out the Europa League quite ignominiously at the end and lost 5-0 away to Basel. They lost 3-0 away to Getafe. In both of those games, they tried to match up their opponent. In both of those games, they played to their philosophy, which I can only respect them for doing so. But in that situation, they shouldn't have. They should have shut up shop a little bit more. And Musaev, maybe it was forced with the injury issues, with having to play 4 fullbacks, with having Smolnikov and Ramirez's pace down the wings as a real, actual outlet. He changed up his strategy. He changed up his tactics. They played very much like a 4-4-2 in defence, and it was 2 solid banks of 4. And they didn't push. They didn't press too high. They were wary of getting runners in behind, who were wary of Sorokin and Caio Pantaleon's inexperience and the proclivity for that one sort of clanger. And Musaev himself has learned more from Krasnodar's recent failings in Europe, and he's proving that this season. The problem is Chelsea have got such a star-studded squad, and as you mentioned, Kirill, there's such a huge long list of injuries with Berg, Olsen, Sorokin, Stotsky, Kabir, Klaassen, Petrov, Wanderson, Ari all out. It's just looking beyond me. Kirill, what do you think? Do you want to jump back in here?
Ari, they were tremendous in their career in the Russian Premier League, and I'm very sad that they're not participating in this game. You are always wanting to see the best option for your opponents when you face a good team, especially when you know that you should win it. But it's better to have an opponent that is fully powered, let's say. Yeah. But still, there are some problems. Yeah, there are lots of problems, let's say, for Krasnodar, but I still believe that they are a very good team emotionally, let's say. They had these problems all the time. I think that if we speak about medical staff medical department of Krasnodar, it's not working so good. And for the star players, they always, all along the season, they have 2-3 star players out of the squad. I don't know how it works, but there are very rare matches where you can see the full squad in. So maybe there is a problem with that, but even if they have a lot of problems, they still can rise up emotionally and psychologically, and they can win matches. They sometimes reverse so many matches. I remember 2 years ago, I watched their game against Zenit, and they were losing 1-0. And in the end, in like 7 minutes, they turned it around and won 2-1. Just 2 substitutes, they made all the game, and their passion, their aggression, they really wanted to win that game. And if they are coming against Chelsea motivated, and I'm pretty sure they will, because Chelsea is a top club and they would like to share some points or just take some points from Chelsea. So I'm pretty sure that they will be motivated until the top, and they will show their best football, and that's what can help Krasnodar to draw or even to win this game, even when Chelsea has so many star players.
Yeah, and every game at this level now for Krasnodar is very much a learning experience for the club. They're only 11 years old. It's for Belskiy. This is his long-term dream of what he's wanted for so long, and he's finally got there. But it's not going to be all sunshine and roses. But hopefully, all that we ask from Krasnodar is that they just give a good account of themselves as they did last week. With everything that's going on, they've got absolutely nothing to lose. The pressure is off. And just like Loco last week, when the pressure's off, surprises can't happen. And if we're going to move on now, of course, this is the Russian Football News podcast. And coming from that Russian perspective, you can't not talk about Chelsea and not mention the owner, Roman Abramovich. So, Rob, what is the current state of affairs with Abramovich in charge? Doesn't he still reside in Israel?
So, firstly, while we're here, I think it's important to say not a slightly belated, but definitely Phil, happy birthday to Mr. Abramovich if he's tuning in. It was his birthday earlier this week. Obviously, a big sort of day to celebrate. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the win against Manchester United to cap it off. But in terms of state of affairs, there was an awful lot of punditry and speculation and column inches devoted to the fact that Roman was no longer committed to Chelsea, that the fact he couldn't get his British sort of visa sorted was meaning he wanted to sell up. Various names like Sir Jim Ratcliffe at Ineos, who currently owns Nice, was suggested, and, various suggestions were put forward that he was going to sell up. I think, if anything, the coronavirus period in last summer has just completely put pay to any of those rumours. I have to, mention the unbelievable work that Chelsea and From the Top have done, both in supporting the community, keeping the hotels open for NHS staff, providing meals, a number of the players sort of doing their own initiatives, the club themselves doing a lot of content. It's a really, really important sort of, thing, and something I feel very strongly about. Just while I'm also here, I would like to say, on a slightly unrelated note, but with PPV, if any Chelsea fans are listening and thinking about PPV, then instead of spending your money on PPV, can I recommend you have a look at HF Food Bank on Twitter and donate your money to them instead. It's a much better cause. Returning to Mr. Abramovich, he does still reside in Israel, but I think it's quite clear that he is still, hugely involved in Chelsea. I'm told by people close to the club that there is absolutely nothing, nothing has changed. If anything, he's even more involved. The fact that you've got the ex-players in there, the likes of your Lampards and Petr Cech in there, who are sort of, very much Abramovich men. And it feels like that it's going to another period where he just wants to sort of win trophies again. And Chelsea are back to, spending money, making the rest of the world hate them, and looking to, go and try and win all the silverware again. And I personally, from a fan point of view, I always believe that there was never any doubt that Mr. Abramovich was committed. Again, people talked about Lampard being a bit of a cop-out appointment last year by him. So, if you sacked him, he got the blame. If he kept him, he got the plaudits. I think that's really unfair. I think it's very hard to disagree with a lot of things Mr. Abramovich has done for the club. Whatever you think of him on a personal level and where the wealth has come from, you can't deny he's always done his best for Chelsea Football Club. And the fact of the matter is the club wouldn't be anywhere near where it currently is without Mr. Abramovich. And long may that continue, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And if there's one thing that Abramovich is a stupendously large football fan. He adores football. And Rob, if you just want to mention that again, the name of the food bank, just so everyone can hear again.
Yeah, so it's the Hammersmith and Chelsea Food Bank at HF Food Bank on Twitter. I'm already donating my money I was having for PPV for it because I think it's outrageous that we're being charged extra for it. I don't know, what people's personal opinion is on it, but I'm lucky enough to be in a situation where I am fortunate enough to not need this support, but not everyone is like that. And in times like this, it's amazing to see that football fans have really come together and supported this, and it'd be great to see Chelsea fans getting behind that, initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone get behind things like that. We shouldn't live in a world where food banks exist, but unfortunately we do. And the people who do these things, they need the most vociferous support and deserve all the credit that they get for doing so, because it's just brilliant volunteering work. And I absolutely echo those feelings, Rob. So I just wanted to just get a little shout out there again for them and get them a bit more that advertising, if that's the correct word for their cause. Now we'll just move back on to football again. Now, Kirill, I presume that I could probably predict the answer to this, but what are your expectations in general for Chelsea in the Champions League this year?
I wonder, what are your expectations for my answer? Win in the Champions League, huh?
Well, at the very least, I was expecting far into the knockout.
I'm not so optimistic in winning, of course. Yeah, but if we speak about the group stage, yeah, definitely Chelsea should go out because the group is more or less fine. It's not so easy. There are some traps for us, but I do believe that Chelsea should qualify. And I hope it will be the first place. The match against Sevilla was a preparation for a new evolution of Lampard's football, I hope. So we will see a much better display on the game in Spain. But against Krasnodar and Rennes, Chelsea should try to get all the points. Yeah, you will never know, it's football. And we will see how it goes. But more or less on the paper, you can see that Krasnodar, I do like Krasnodar, I do like Rennes, but Chelsea right now is much bigger club and much stronger club with so many star players, and I hope that we will get all the points from them. Yeah, more or less fine. We will see how it goes. It's football, and every match is a separate one, and everything can happen in football. But we will see. At least if we run out of the goalkeepers, we still have Petr Cech. So it should be fine. But as for going next to the knockout stage, it depends on which club we will get. Yeah, last time we got Bayern, and it was very tough. They really put their inform in the last months. I think February and March were one of the best of the months in football. Also, summer was tremendous for them. They won almost everything. I think they didn't lose any game at all. So for us, it was no chance. Even after 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, it was already done for the realistic fans, not for the guys who are still believing that 3-0 is not the end of the world. Yes, it's not, but not against Bayern in that type of form that they showed. So I hope that in knockout stage, at least at the first round, we will get an easy opponent that we did have last year, and at least quarterfinals I expect from Chelsea if we will get a good one after all.
Yeah. And meanwhile, from Krasnodar's perspective, I think this is just about getting their feet wet in European football and in the top, most elite level. It's about the learning experience, playing teams like Chelsea. We don't, to be frank, I'm not quite sure many people at Krasnodar honestly expect them to get through this group. Did hope. It's always hope. You never know in these competitions, but they're a very intelligently run football club. They have been for a very long time. One of the leading lights in Russia about how the game is supposed to proceed and how things should be done behind the scenes. So, but then again, of course, Chelsea and Sevilla are just far too good for Krasnodar right now. What do you think, Kirill, from Krasnodar's point of view for their expectations for this season?
Yeah, as for Krasnodar, I think they have quite a nice chance to get to the Champions League, to the knockout stage. Who knows how does Sevilla plays against Rennes? But as for Rennes, I think they are not so good after all. Yeah, they saved most of the star players they had, but one of the best players they had was Edouard Mendy. That is a part of our squad now, luckily. And you can see it already from the Krasnodar game. Rennes was not so nice. Also, the goalkeeper is not so strong. So maybe Mendy was able to do something with that, but there is no chance for the one who is staying in the goal right now. And I'm pretty sure that Krasnodar should aim at least for the Europa League for the third place. It's 100% possible. Also, Sevilla now also the Spanish football is very uncertain, and I think we can see right now the beginning of the dark times of Spanish football. Yeah, maybe it won't be, but that's my opinion. I can see that Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico, they are not so good right now. Exceptionally beating the Liverpool against when Atletico played them last Champions League. But all in all, they're facing hard times, especially after Corona. They have very little money to spend. They need to sell their players, especially it was seen by Valencia. They suffered really a lot. And Sevilla, I think they will also suffer a little bit, and Krasnodar can be. I hope that they will get some of the stars at least for the next matches. Yeah, against Chelsea, I hope they will lose 3 points as a Chelsea fan. But I think for another games, they can battle, and they can battle for the highest positions. Yeah, maybe the second place will be a huge surprise, but a third one, I think they can take it, and I hope they will take it, and I will support them a lot for that.
Yeah. So, fellas, it's a little bit of tradition here on the RFN podcast that we finish off our previews with a quick, fun score prediction. Rob, you first. What's your score prediction for Wednesday night?
So, because I think that we haven't ever kept 3 clean sheets since the Antonio Conte era, I'm going to have to go Krasnodar to score. But I feel that Chelsea will comfortably come out with a win. I think it will probably be 3 or 4-1 on the night. No doubt, probably conceding an own goal through some piece of ridiculousness because we can't have Edouard Mendy getting some confidence up.
And Kirill, what do you think from scoreline point of view?
It's hard to predict, and most of the time I am failing with that because I'm doing for CW6 some predictions, and I'm never right for Chelsea at least. So it depends really on the starting 11 we will have, but maybe it will be 2-0 to Chelsea. I hope that Ziyech finally can shine. I hope. Yeah, probably. Also, I'm expecting Giroud, and when Giroud comes, he's very hungry for goals and very hungry for playing the club football. I hope him to score. I really liked him, for example, against Dynamo Kiev last season when we played in Europa League, and he was really hungry for goals and he was scoring a lot at the time. He was the best striker as far as I remember. Rob, if I'm not right, you can interrupt me. But I think yes, and he was the best player in Europa League that season, but they give the award to Eden Hazard because he was the most trapped player. There's no problem for me, but Giroud deserved it better. So that's it from my side. I also wanted to add a little bit about Belarus. Now the politician system there is very, very poor. And right now they have strikes all over the country from this Monday, so from 26th of October. And you can ask me how can they get money from if they are striking they are not getting money. So if you want to support any of Belarus people because they're doing the right thing, I can tell you because I'm half Belarusian. So yes, this president is a tyrant and they should sack him, let's say. So if you are in to help Belarusian people, you can go to BIY Solid Found or just text me. I will certainly give you a link and you can help these people. And I will be very proud. I am already very proud from my Belarusian side, and I hope that someone will give them support except me. I already did that. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo those thoughts entirely. What's been going on with Belarus with Lukashenko and all the despotic actions is quite frankly disgraceful.
Not everybody knows this situation in Europe, even in Russia. They are not aware of the situation right now. Yeah, they know that there are some strikes, but I know the whole story. And Lukashenko was a tyrant since he came. He killed a lot of people who were against him, and right now his whole nation doesn't want him to be a president, and he should go. That's it, and they want him to go already for 5-10 years at least. So let's finally hope this will happen. I fully support them.
Yeah, absolutely. Solidarity with all the protesters in Belarus, and if you want to get in touch with providing some support to Belarusians who are, of course, going out without their money and safety right now, then we'll put you in touch with Kirill himself, and you can share all the relevant links there for sure. And it's good to see that the Belarusian political situation is getting support from some of the Belarusian footballers based out of Russia. Of course, as the listeners will know now, that Belarusian players and others from the Eurasian Economic Union are naturalized in Russia, and people such as Ilya Shkurin and Alexander Martinovich, Krasnodar's captain, have both refused to support Lukashenko.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the Belarusian sportsmen. I'm very proud of the Belarusian uh, media guys who are resigned. For example, we had a commentator on Belarusian football sports channel, Belarus 5. His name is Vladislav Tatur, and he is also supporting Chelsea. That's why I know him. He's a very nice guy, and he resigned from this channel until Lukashenko is resigned. and I very support his decision, and I'm very proud of all Belarusian guys who are supporting the strikes, and I am all over with them. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot go because I have a Russian passport. Yeah, I can go to Belarus, but it's not possible for me due to the company policies and so on. But I try to support them at least in the social media, and I will be happy if you join this donation thing, and I will be happy to support you with helping other Belarusian guys.
Yeah, of course. And to finish off our little message here, we do have an article on the site by Geese Frerix just about how the Belarusian players and footballing community have actually spoken out against Lukashenko and have provided support. So without trying to plug or anything anachronistically, just if you are looking for more knowledge on the subject and a little bit more self-education and information, which always helps, more you know, the more you learn, the better you are. Look up on the site. It's Playing and Protesting, Belarus Football Community and RPL Players Speak Out. And of course, once again, Rob and Kirill, thank you very much for joining me today. Everybody, if you go check out the SW6Daily podcast for all Chelsea musings and the website. And Rob, where can everybody find you and your work online?
You can find us all on @SW6Daily on Twitter and on www.sw6daily.com on the website.
Yeah, there are a lot of content. If you want to see articles, if you want to see some videos, if you want to have some nice wallpapers from Chelsea, yeah, that's it. Everything on our Twitter. Also check our YouTube channel. If you are a Russian fan, somehow, if you listen to me, yeah, YouTube channel for Chelsea News. You can also direct me. I am there for all Russian fans, Russian-speaking fans, for 4 years already.
Yeah, of course, guys. I was just about to say, Kirill, that's Chelsea News on YouTube, isn't it, for all Russian-speaking Chelsea fans?
Yes, that's it. Also, if you are on Telegram, yeah, we have a social media like this. It's like a WhatsApp, but much nicer, I would say. So if you are finding a more secure messenger, you should also check the Telegram. I'm going for both of you guys also. We also have the news channels. It's a very nice app to join, and there I also have a Telegram called Break Evens. So if you want to join for Premier League news, for Chelsea news, 100% secure, 100% pure ones, yeah, you can join. And we can also chat there. That's it.
Yeah, guys, just thank you both for joining me again today.
Yeah, thank you for invitation.
Thank you very much.
Everyone else, just keep an eye out for the next episodes of the RFN podcast, and that'll be coming on Friday morning, and we'll be reviewing all the European games, and then some more RPL domestic action, including Spartak's table-topping adventures, a potential resurgence at Kimki, and then Ruben and Rotta's surprise victories over Zenit and Loco, respectively. And that's it for the RFN podcast. Goodbye for now.
Идет футбольный матч, летит над полем мяч. Веди его, беги, точнее его ударь. Но мяч берет с ноги решительный вратарь. Не напрасно футбольное поле самых ловких и смелых влечет. Здесь нужны тренировка и воля, быстрота, увлечение, расчет.